Romelu Lukaku has become one of the deadliest strikers in the world in the last few years, really showing up the critics that he had while he was at Man United and really improving his game to the point where he is in the consideration for best striker on the planet at this moment. There are teams that want him, and even while I'm making this video, or when this video goes up, he may have already transferred to maybe Chelsea or another team, or he might still be at Inter. But in this video, we're going to go over what makes Lukaku so good. How did he get his game to the level that he's gotten it to, and some things you can apply to your own game so that you're playing a little more like him. That's coming up next. Hey everyone, I've teamed up with OneFootball to bring you a little bit of a contest that is absolutely free to join, where you can win an MLS All-Stars jersey from the upcoming game between the MLS All-Stars and the Liga MX All-Stars happening on August 25th. This is going to be a really big game, a really fun game to tune into and watch, and you can win this jersey simply by going down to my description, clicking on the link, downloading the OneFootball app, and then just following the instructions there. And then you're going to answer the question, who do you think is going to win and why? And after that, you are submitted to win the jersey. Just read all of the rules down below. It's absolutely free to apply, and good luck to everyone that enters. Now let's get into the rest of this video. Hi there, my name is Dave and this is Simplysoccer. If you are new here to the channel, where I'm creating videos every single week to help you improve your game and stand out on the pitch. So if that sounds good to you, please hit that subscribe button down below. Also get my free ebook Game Changer down below. This is a 50+ page ebook that's gonna help you improve in so many different areas. Again, absolutely free. So now let's get into what makes Lukaku so good. What has he done to his game? How has he improved in certain areas? What is he doing that's allowing him to just be the beast that he's been in Serie A for Inter Milan? So number one is the belief he has in himself. And I'm going to go over this very briefly because I covered this a lot. I mentioned it in the Grealish video we did recently as well. But Lukaku obviously is a very confident player who backs himself. Any player that comes through criticism and then rises up despite that criticism is usually very mentally tough. There are many players who get criticized, get dragged through the mud by the press or whatever else, that never get back to the levels that they were at or beyond that. But Lukaku obviously has taken it personally to an extent and gone, I'm going to show you, and really has proven his critics wrong by doing better than I think anyone would have expected as he's been in Italy. Obviously, the coaches that brought him in, Conte, believed in him and knew what he could do, and he has rewarded him by being one of the top players in Serie A since he has been there. I go over it all the time, but being strong mentally, having a strong mental side of your game, believing in yourself is such an asset for any player, and Lukaku clearly believes in himself, clearly believes in his abilities, his ability to get better. That's why he has improved so much as well, and he's backed himself. And seriously, if you don't back yourself, nobody else will. And so this is an important lesson to learn from the top pros, and as we're going over Lukaku, it is something very important we can learn from Lukaku, who clearly has incredible, tough mental attributes that he uses to his advantage. In fact, if you want, put in the comments, I believe in myself or in my ability. Align yourself to that and really start feeling that, really start developing that, really start locking that in. And now we'll move on to number two. Number two is emphasizing your strengths, especially in a position like Lukaku, who's playing the furthest forward in the striker role. He has really developed his strengths more and more. I mean, when you watch Lukaku play, he's so much about power, pace, and ruthlessness. And he has actually become better at this. He has gotten so much better at using his body to his advantage. He has gotten so much better at really bullying defenders, using his speed and his strength and his power to his advantage to put himself into goal-scoring positions, set up things for his team, have good link-up play, and everything else. He has clearly been working on strengthening his strengths even more, to the point where I think he's probably one of the best in the world at this point at doing what he does. I don't think there are too many other strikers in the game right now that are as powerful, as forceful, as ruthless as Lukaku. And he's also quite quick as well. He uses this to his advantage. He will run with the ball and bully defenders off it. If you watch highlights of him or you watch him play in his games, he'll just throw defenders legally off him, and they'll create the space to score or create the space he needs because of that. And this is someone who's looked at what he's good at and has really gone, on, I can play to this, I can get even better at this, and really make myself almost unstoppable if I do this. And the lesson to take here is to really start emphasizing your strengths. For example, if you're a 5'2" player playing striker, you might not emulate Lukaku in that way. Or if you're a player like me who's 6'3" who's playing striker, who isn't the quickest, I'm not gonna really try and strengthen that strength or strengthen that weakness, but instead look at what I'm really good at and strengthen those strengths. For example, if we look at Giroud, he will work on his speed like any other player, but he's probably not gonna identify that as something that's going to help him stand out when he plays. But he will emphasize the things that he can get even better at that help make him a good player, that he can strengthen even more. And this is something we can all learn to apply to our game. If this video has been helpful so far or you're enjoying it, please hit that like button and we'll move on to the next one. Now, number 3 is actually work on your weaknesses. Yes, you want to strengthen your strengths, but you also want to identify what your weaknesses are that will help your game. Now, one of the things Lukaku got criticized for all of the time was his first touch. There's even a story with Zlatan Ibrahimovic making bets with him to improve his first touch. Now, I think Lukaku already had a good first touch. Maybe it wasn't as good as some of his other attributes, but it's clear that he listened to this and actually took the feedback, because when anyone ever makes that meme about Lukaku not having a good first touch now, I kind of cringe, because it means you haven't been watching him recently. His first touch has gotten a lot better. I remember watching some of the goals he scored and I'm going like, he just took a perfect first touch out of his feet and then finished on the second touch, which as a striker is just one of those skills that you absolutely want to have. His first touch has improved dramatically because he probably identified it as a weakness that would help him if he strengthened it, and it is clear he has worked on it. I'm serious, if you watch him now, you will notice that he doesn't really lack in this department anymore, and he has a really, really good first touch, has very good control over the ball. And this is something you want to work on as well, looking at your own game and looking at the things you could probably shore up that are going to help you in your position and going, okay, I'm going to work on that. For Lukaku, having a much better first touch gives him more scoring opportunities, helps him set up things for his team more, just helps his overall game as a striker, and it's clear that he has worked on this. Something else about Lukaku that I found he definitely has worked on is his ability to beat players one-on-one. I already mentioned how he uses his strength to bully players, and he's gotten a lot better at using his body strategically to get people off the ball or away from the ball and create the space he needs to score. You can see it in a lot of his footage. But another thing he's gotten really good at is his skill moves. You'll see that he'll use step overs or certain other moves to create the space he needs to score, little body feints and step overs that he could do before, but he's gotten even better at, to the point where he's got a pretty deadly step over, pretty deadly body feint to create the space he needs to finish. Number 4 is Lukaku is a ruthlessly impactful player. Now this ties into the last thing, but I guarantee Lukaku has looked at his game and gone, what is going to help me have the biggest impact? This is advice I give on this channel all the time. Looking at your position, what can I work on specifically that would help me out in the situations I find myself in matches? And I've already mentioned this, but Lukaku has improved his first touch, makes him more ruthless. He's improved his ability to take players one-on-one. He's improved his ability also to get his shot off quickly, which I've noticed as well. He'll be able to do a step over or something else and then quickly get his shot off, and his finishing is so good, which we'll go over in a minute, that he scores so many goals this way. He has looked at his game, I guarantee it, and gone, what can I work on to just be ruthless, to just make it so I'm just as good as possible, unstoppable in this position, and he has worked on those things. And so the question is, for your own game, what can you look at? What can you strengthen? What can you work on that's just going to make you that much more impactful in your position when you play? For example, if you're a winger, is it taking players one-on-one and then having amazing crossing ability if you find yourself in those situations a lot? If you're a striker like Lukaku, is it being able to beat that player one-on-one and then have a deadly finish at the end of it? You know, it's something to think about, asking yourself that question and then really implementing that when it comes to your training. And the final thing we have to mention with Lukaku, number 5, and I know this could have been in the other categories, but I want to make it its own thing real quick because it's just something he's so good at, and he's a deadly finisher. Now, one of Lukaku's biggest traits that I think made Man United want to buy him in the first place was his finishing, but he's gotten even better. And when combined with some of the other things he has worked on, it just makes him just such a deadly forward. I mean, I swear, I really do believe he's up there with the Lewandowskis and similar strikers at this point, because he's just so ruthless and deadly in front of net. He has worked on so many different areas of his game that help him get into those positions to score goals or set up teammates and really have that impact. And he's an incredibly deadly finisher if you watch him play. He has gotten so good at just being able to power the ball either with the side or even laces to either corner. He has gotten so good when he's one-on-one with the keeper. He has gotten so good at creating just a little bit of space and then curling it into the corner, hitting it near post, He has a very powerful finish as well, which when you can powerfully finish to either side, there's not much a goalkeeper can do. I don't really see him trying to chip the goalkeeper that much. I've seen him go around the keeper, I think, a couple times, but his go-to finish is just power to the corners, which really shows you how effective the simple finishes can be. When you can put the ball into the corner with power either side, you know, with either the side of your foot or with the laces even, you become a deadly finisher. And Lukaku, mixed with his ability to create the chance for himself with the skill moves or using his body, with his confidence and that deadly finish, that's one of the reasons he scores so many goals. And we can't mention Lukaku without mentioning how great his finishing is, how much better it has gotten. It was already really good, but I would say his finishing is getting, if it's not already, it's at the world-class level, it's close to the world-class level, and he's really showing it over and over and over again. All right, so that's how to play more like Lukaku. That's what makes Lukaku so good. I love using Lukaku as an example because he was a player who got so much stick. A lot of it, I think, was unnecessary and kind of unfair. He was still a great player, but he has taken that and he's done what you should do when you get criticism. Really look to use it as feedback to fuel your own growth and become a better player. And Lukaku has 100% done that. You know, although I'm a Liverpool fan and I don't want to see him back at Chelsea because I think that wouldn't be good for us, it will be cool to see what he does in the Premier League when he returns. He very much looks like a man on a mission. If he does come back, it's not going to be good for Premier League defenses, I can tell you that much. But those are some of the things you can work on as well so that you are starting to stand out more, improve your game in the same way Lukaku has. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know other players you want me to cover, and I'll see you in the next video.